Is here with us, so I'm requesting each one of you guys to rise up and welcome to our Honorable Adan Barre Duale. I was expecting more than that. Come on. Karibu. Karibuni. Karibuni. Karibu. Karibu Adam. Karibu Adan Barre Duale. Karibu. Karibu.
Good. Hello. How are you? This is my seat? Yeah. Good.
Good evening, everybody. Usiku njema yote, karibuni. habeen wanaagsan dhammaantiin dadweynaha qiimaha badan ee halkan iskugu yimid oo jecel inay caawa halkan ku soo dhaweeyaan hogaamiyaheena qaaliga Honorable Adan Barre Duale, the leader of majority of National Assembly of Kenya. It is really a pleasure for me to be an MC tonight with such a great man's event. I'm a fan for a long time. And I'm so glad that I'm here tonight with him. And I think all of you guys also are happy to meet our Honorable Adan Barre Duale. Welcome to Minnesota. haddaan Somali ku yiraahdo waxa la yiraahdaa magaaladan marka dadka lagu soo dhaweynayo meel qabow badan oo cid kasto timaado waxa lagu yiraahdaa ku soo dhawow Minnesota dadkeeduna waa dad lagu naanayso Minnesota nice. So I was telling him that we here in Minnesota, when we are welcoming people who are coming from other countries, we always say, welcome to Minnesota, and we are Minnesota nice. barnaamijkeena waxaan ku bilaabanaynaa ayadaha Quraanka Kariimka waxaad ila soo dhaweysaan Sayid Xasan oo inoo fura. Sayid Xasan soo dhaw.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله الثناء لله الصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ألف لام ميم ذلك الكتاب لا ريب فيه هدى للمتقين الذين يؤمنون بالغيب ويقيمون الصلاة ومما رزقناه ينفقون والذين يؤمنون بما أنزل إليك وما أنزل من قبلك وبالآخرة هم يوقنون أولئك على هدى من ربهم وأولئك هم المفلحون. صدق الله العظيم.
هدي دي جي gu diyaar yahay national anthem ki ayaan ciyaarayna. If the DJ is ready for us, tonight we will play 3 national anthem. How do you guys like about that? 3. Kenya, which is the first one actually, and the second Somali, and the third one is America.
Na tukae na
wagaag waxaan filayaa inaan cadaalad sameeyno Soomaan. I think we were fair a little bit, right? 3 national anthems, 3 different countries in one place. Thanks God for that. All right now our next speaker is, yes, Erwin Murphy, Minority Leader, Minnesota Congress. She's next to me right here. I want you guys to welcome her.
I bring you greetings. Karibu. Welcome. Welcome to Minnesota, the place of Minnesota Nice, and my home, the place that I love. As a former majority leader in the Minnesota House of Representatives, I want to bring you greetings. Honorable Adan Bare Duale. We're so happy that you're here. I bring you greetings from the Minnesota House of Representatives and from the Minnesota Senate and from the Minnesota government. And I am so happy to be with you tonight. My family were political participants, citizens and voters, and conversational in their politics, and they taught me from a child on that there is a real power in politics. And as I have lived in Minnesota now since 1988, I know that that is the case, and that we can shape our communities together using the political levers of our democracy. And while we're not always able, thank you, while we're not always able to accomplish everything we want in every action that we take, I will say that in my tenure here, I continue to see important progress being made for the people of Minnesota in the state legislature, in city councils, in county governments, and even in a very gridlocked Congress.
My name is Lillian Otieno. I spent a lot of my career in corporate America working in food safety, regulation, and compliance, both in manufacturing and retail. In fact, when I was talking to Faria here, we realized that we are both in the same field. When that came to a stop, I did that stint for a lot of years. I decided to go back to school into public health. So I'm actually graduating this October with my master's in public health. Thank you. And the reason why I mention that is, full disclosure, I'm a single parent, but I'm very proud of that. The reason why I mention that is also to uplift a lot of women who are here. That it just takes an initiative, and it takes in believing in yourself to be able to accomplish some of the dreams that you have. But at the same time, also recognizing that we are in a country where there's a lot of potential and there's a lot of opportunities. I'm sure you'd all agree, America is the land of opportunity, and that is why a lot of us are here, right? Sindio kwa sababu tuko hapa? Bas. Aya. So take advantage of the resources and the opportunities that are here for us as Kenyans, as immigrants, and also let's make sure that we showcase ourselves well.
walaalayaal farxad weyn ayay ii tahay inaan ka soo qayb galo xafladan aad u qurux badan lagu soo dhaweynayo walaalkeen Adan Bare Duale, member of the Parliament for Garissa and majority leader. haddaynu nahay Soomaalida degan reer Minnesota, waxaan leenahay ku soo dhawow Minnesota. waxa ku joogo walaalaha oo everywhere oo Soomaaliya oo ka yimid oo halkan ku nool ku faraxsan imaatinkaada inay ku arkaan. waxa kaloo aniga iyo Soomaalidana inteeno dhan aan iloobi karin dawladda Kenya abaalkii inoo gashay 1991 markaan soo qaxnay wayna soo dhaweeyeen wayna xushmeeyeen wayna martigeliyeen martigelintooda iyo xushmeentooda iyo soo dhaweyntooda darteed ayaa ka sabtay inaynu helno resettlementiga iyo sponsorka iyo howlaheena iyo aynu ku nimaana America. haddaynan dadka Kenya walaalaheena Kenya na soo dhaweyn aynan na martisoorin ma suura gasheen inaynu nimaano. marka walaalkan aadan barre waxaan ka codsanayaa waxaan maqalnaa dad Soomaali ayaa la iska dilaa meydkooda ayaa la tuuraa waliba meesha uu asaga mathalaya Gaarisa waxaynu rabnaa marka inuu baaritaan fiican sameeyo oo dabagalo sababta dadka loo dilaayo sababta dadka loo baxayo waxay yihiin because dhiiga qof Soomaaliga ma ahan wax jiib ah marka qiimo ayuu ku fadhiyaa
hadda waxaan jeclaan lahaa this moment inaad ila soo dhaweysaan Amina Kainan who are registered nurse from Garissa County.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Dhammaan waan idin salaamay martida sharafta leh oo halka maanta iskugu imaadeen. Assalamu alaikum islaamka nigu salaamaya. Pia na wasalamia wa Kenya wote na wageni wote wamekuja kumsalamia Mheshimiwa Duale. Mheshimiwa Duale, tunawakaribisha wote na nafurahia sana vile mmekuja wote kumkaribisha Mheshimiwa Duale. Also, I think it's coincidence or by choice, I don't know. It seems that the podium is full of nurses and public health. So before I continue and introduce myself, I'll say, "We to nurses." Actually, I'm humbled and excited and honored to share the podium with the Majority Leader of Kenya, my MP from Garissa County, my uncle too, my role model, and I'm also excited to welcome him to United States, whereby we call land of opportunity. I wish we will call Kenya land of opportunity too soon. And I'm also excited to see everybody here who decided out of their busy schedule to come and share this beautiful night with us here. Thank you. To introduce myself, my name is Amina Kainan. I'm a Garissa product. Ciyaalka xaafadaan Garisari. Mimi ni mtoto wa Garissa, Northeastern Kenya. Nimesomea Homa Bay. Kanyada. Mimi ja Homa Bay. So nawasalamia wote na nafurahia sana vile nimesema mimi ni nurse. Actually, I am very proud to be from Garissa, because Garissa is what made me who I am today. I can come to the United States, but nobody can take me out of, you can take the village girl out of the village, but you cannot take the girl out of the village. So nobody can take me out of Garissa, out of Nairobi, out of Kenya, and out of Africa, even if I'm here in the United States. To come back to my introduction, I'm married to a handsome husband called Mohammed from Mandera. I have 3 men in the house, 14-year-old Sabir and Kamal, who's 12 years old. Vile nafurahia sana kuwa proud of mimi ni mtu wa Kenya, and I think wale wananijua. Watoto wangu niliwapeleka Garissa waone maisha ya Kenya na waone maisha ya Garissa. Walika mwaka 8 Garissa. Nakumbuka skule niliwapeleka, watu walikuwa wananiuliza, mbona unawapeleka watoto wako Garissa? Nikasema mimi nimekulia Garissa na sijaona bala. Sasa watoto wangu wamerudi, lakini wanajua culture ya Garissa, wanajua culture watu wote huko nyumbani. Hiyo ni introduction yangu. Upande wa kikazi, I am an RN, registered nurse. I am a public health nurse too. And also, I am doing my MBA, Healthcare and Leadership Organizational.
waxaan ku noqonaynaa khudbadihii iyo dad fara badan sidaan idiin sheegay ayaa caawa halkan nala jooga oo khudbado ka soo jeedinaya. And right now I would like to introduce Jailani Hussein, the Executive Director of CARE.
Adan Duale, I did not know you were MP, by the way. The first time I heard of Adan Duale, I did not know you were MP. All I heard was a YouTube conversation, a voice in the middle of Kenya standing up for the rights of Muslims and the right for them. And then later I found out that you were not just standing up, but you were standing in a very difficult position. And that's when I remember, and to be honest with you, I still watch all of the YouTube videos of the important speeches and when you made them. So we are living in a time when people want to label Islam and Muslims in a very negative way. And it's the responsibility of every single Muslim to project the right image of Islam to our community members and to everyone. And so there's a very unique opportunity that will come on Thursday. I want every single one of you to project the story, the image, and the importance of the Hajj. We have to remind our friends that if they want to know what Islam is and what Muslims are, look at the Hajj. 3-4 million people will be coming from every single corner of this world. Not to sell, not to buy, not because of a political party. They're all there to say that they are Muslims and they are worshiping the one God. That's the image that we want our friends in the Minnesota ICE and wherever they are to see. That is Islam. Islam is not ISIS. Islam is not Al-Shabaab. Islam is those people who are in Mecca who are saying La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. And so therefore, Adan Duale and others and people like CARE, we stand every single day reminding people of that. That is the work that every single one of you also has to carry. Now, I'm not new to Garissa and I'm not new to Kenya, as many of you here are not new. We're all familiar with Kenya. We're all familiar with Garissa. Every single one of us knows every single thing about that. But I'm going to ask you, I'm going to challenge you to do something outside of politics. There's an organization that I'm part of. It's called Araha. Most of you know it's a humanitarian organization that works in East Africa. We have an office in Kenya. And with little work here, you can also make an impact in Garissa, not just in politics, but also in humanitarian efforts. So I challenge all of you to participate in the needed efforts to educate our friends in Minnesota and others the important work of humanitarian level. Finally, as CARE and others, we are pushing back this stereotype that Muslims are suspects of terrorism. And if you think that is not true, all of you may have already heard of the young Ahmed in Dallas, Texas, who brought a clock. He brought a clock. And he wanted to show impress his teachers, but he was labeled as someone who's a threat. And so we are fighting that back. And the government of the United States has devised a program called CVE, Countering Violence Extremism. We all should be countering violent extremism. But the only community they're speaking to is us. And we reject that program because we are not a community of terrorists. We are not a community of suspects. We are a community that's part of this community just like anyone else. And so we and all of you I want to remind you, and if there's something I want to leave on the table with you, is the responsibility to stand up and to speak the truth is on all of us. And I want to remind the Honorable, who has been welcomed in song and welcomed in gathering, and I welcome you as well today. Please, do what you have been doing. Stand up in times of difficulty and remind people, Muslims and Islam is a religion of peace. It is a religion that you will see in the images of Hajj. And that voice and that time is what we'll carry in history. And I think we are all remembered. We didn't fill this room because he's just an MP. We filled this room because what he says in the time of difficulty, in time of oppression, he stands up and says the right thing. That's why we filled this room. And we ask you to continue that effort, and we will pray for you, inshallah, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide you. Thank you.
waxaan jeclaan lahaa inaan marti sharaf qiimo badan ayaa nala joogta oo dabcan meelo kala gedisan ka yimid sidaad ogtihiin waqtigooda noo soo horay qaaliga educationka ayuu ka hadlayay Jailani iyo qiimaha uu leedahay waxaan jeclahay inaad ila soortaan oo ila soo dhaweysaan iyo ugu sacbisaan maadaama uu waqtigiisana soo siiyay Paul Winkler or Education Minnesota, the Union for Minnesota Educators is right there. We want to say thank you for coming, and we really appreciate your time here. Also, do you guys see this beautiful decoration here? The person who did that, what do you think we need to say to that person? Okay. Deqa Abdi Haji. Manala joogta Deqa Abdi Haji. Is she here? Okay. waxaana la joogta Safiya Abdi Haji oo iyaduna ka shaqaysay Safiya istaag hal lagu sacbiye. That's Safiya who does this decoration. So thank you very much. gabdhaha waxa gabar qurxiso waxa kale oo ka qurxoyn Soomaan hadii rag loo dhiibi lahaa baalkan uu kala jeesan lahaa. waxaan ku noqonaynaa khudbadihii iyo dad fara badan sidaan idin sheegay ayaa caawa halkan nala jooga oo khudbado ka soo jeedinaya.
I'm delighted to welcome to our city our distinguished guest, Honorable Adan Duale. I think Mr. Duale's record speaks louder than any word I can say tonight. We all know about his leadership capacity and the many issues he addressed during his political career. Some are already brought up. For that, I think I would like to talk briefly what we, Somali Minnesotans, can learn from Mr. Duale and other Somali Kenyans' success. And I will conclude with a recommendation. The Somali Kenyan story is one of courage, tenacity, creativity, and leadership. Decades ago, their forefathers, with many obstacles, built new lives in Kenya. Today, their children, grandchildren, not only are full members of Kenyan society, they are connecting back to their roots, Somalia, and linking beyond the diaspora. Somali Kenyan, while they are writing their own stories, they remain proud of their heritage, nonetheless striving for a common shared future. Many, like Mr. Duale, have done well in Kenya and on international stage. We are proud of you. We are proud of your success. This tells us that diaspora members can contribute to the development of the new country. It also tells us that diaspora members have an important role to build a bridge between their new homes and the homeland. However, as we can learn from Somali Kenyans, it's important to balance these connections. Because if, as a diaspora community, we focus only on our links with Somalia, this may affect our inclusiveness and our relationship with our new country and community. On the other hand, if we become too much oriented locally, then we risk losing touch with our original culture and heritage. Therefore, it's important to remember our roots, understand our present, so we can shape our future. Mr. Duale often talks the importance of building a fair community and society. Mr. Duale, if you want to build a better community for your children, for your community, for your society, we must invest in women and their leadership. In Kenya, women are more likely to be in poverty than men. Many women in Garissa lack equal access to education, healthcare, capital, and decision-making powers in the political, social, and business sectors. Gender inequality is a reality. Its legacy exists. We cannot deny it. Although I have faith that women from Kenya, and particularly Garissa, can take increasing ownership for what they need to do, if we want them to get ahead faster, then support structure is needed. Here is where, Honorable Duale, your influence and power can play a decisive role. You can impact both the government and organization to develop programs that develop women become effective, that help women become effective agents of change. In other words, you can nurture women leaders. This is a topic and a recommendation dear to the organization I represent, Women Organizing Women Network. Because we believe that a fair society.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Assalamu alaikum. Ladies and gentlemen, friends, colleagues, Honorable Duale, wakina mama, wa vijana, habari zenu. Nisalimieni bana, mbona mnakataa salamu yangu, habari zenu. Sawa, sawa, sawa. I am delighted and excited to be here this evening, to be in the presence of somebody that I have admired in the last 2 years or so. As a person who is in the leadership arena, I have had opportunities to teach leadership development through Global Initiative Food System Leadership from University of Minnesota, and I have traveled to South America, to Europe, to Asia, to Africa, trying to teach leadership competency skills to food safety workers. Food safety, anybody who knows anything about it, is the most diverse, multicultural field. In any field you can think of. Think about your dinner tonight. And when you're eating it, think about how many countries the ingredients have moved from. So this is as diversity as it gets. And when I think about leadership competency and I look at Duale in his presentation through the, like Jelani, I've watched him a lot in YouTubes and the likes. We look at folks who understand. Leadership is about making change happen. And to make change happen, you have to demonstrate listening skills. Through listening, competency number one, you build understanding. And when you understand, then you position yourself to negotiate. A leader has to know negotiation is about making reality, you know. Sometimes it involves disappointing people at a rate they can tolerate. Putting things into perspective where we can have short-term goals and long-term goals. And after negotiation, you build teams and you become an agent of change. Politics, as Wellston always stated, is about changing lives. Politics is about changing lives. So, Mr. Duale, when I watched you in Isli last year, talk about the injustices that are done to folks, the atrocities that were committed, the bribes and the rampant corruption that went on, the passion and the courage you demonstrated gave us all goosebumps, and for that I salute you. I was asked to talk a little bit about women and children. And tonight I stand here in solidarity with women from Kenya, and especially women from the marginalized community, the arid and the semi-arid lands. Kenya, even after 50 years of independence, I am afraid, it breaks my heart that it is categorized as one of the worst 10 countries in the world to be pregnant. In Kenya, even after 50 years, the maternal mortality rate is terrible. Worse off, people in the northeastern region have twice as much likely to experience maternal mortality. In fact, with the Jubilee government, they were able to create free maternity, right? Which was one of their manifestos, and kudos to them. But we don't have health facilities in place. So what has been happening is the demand for the care was, more than the healthcare facilities and the beds available. As a mother who has had 3 children, I cannot imagine being in labor and I'm being asked to go back home because there's not enough bed. In Northeasterns, 70%, 7 out of every 10 women has a baby at home. And this is a contributing factor to the maternal mortality we're experiencing, right? The lack of access to healthcare and poor quality of healthcare is even made worse by the recent conflicts, widespread conflicts that are becoming more severe with time, which is a total atrocity. I have to acknowledge the many efforts that are out there in the community that is working so hard to change the tides. But we all know the causality of this problem, the proliferation of arms, inadequacy, policing, insecurity, land issues, political incitements, ethnocentric problems are all major contributing factors. Now, the severe consequences, ladies and gentlemen, is 70% of women and children become displaced, lives lost, properties lost, and worst of all, it brings hate. And it is hate that is bringing the problems that I experience and makes this cyclic over and over and over again. I was told I have 1 minute, so I'll skip to my most important point for the night.
I would like to thank Allah for this opportunity to bring us here tonight so we can have an opportunity to meet not only a leader, but to me, as Mas'ad said, I'm from Mandera. And we are jealous of Reer Garissa for sure. Because ninkaanad keenteen libaaxan ayaad micnaha inka dhashay ilaahay ku mahadiya haddii aad ka daashaan anaga noo soo dira. Waxaan ahaa dadka soo qabanqaabay programkan ayaan ka mid ahaa. Markii laygu yiri aadan barra soo socda haddee waad ogtihiin qofka reer Mandera markuu soo socdo badi durbaanka inta ma jiray wax baan iska raadin jiray laakiin aadan barre oo Gaaris ka imaaday markii la yiri wallahi inaan Gaaris fiirinin waxaan fiiriyay ninkan madaxda ah iyo wuxuu noo qabtay oo maalin walba aan ku faraxsanaa markaan ka fiirsada markaan TV ka fiirsada waxyaalaha qaar oo isleedahay adig naxdinku gelinay adoo halkan joogo war hadalku maanta ninka yiri meeshu wax ka istaagay ilaahow arintan ka badbaadiyaan ku fikiray wallahi alcadiim sababtoo cadowga haysta oo raba inay maalin walba kursigiisa qaataan majority leader uu yahay oo pressure-ka maalin walba saara intuu la egyahan fahansanahay Mandera iyo Kenya mar walba tagaa waa la socdaa newskan ka akhriyaa wax walba hadalka qaar markuu yiraahdo war nin Soomaaliyan ah nin musliman ah dadkayga lama taaban karo intuu isli istaago ka yiraahdo waxa waaye annagoo dhan meel aan joogno Soomaali jarraca ka kacayso waad fahansantiin waxaad leedahay duco baan kula garab taagneen meesha ma joogin laakiin mar Allah markaad qudbaysid waa ku farxi jirnay ilaahay maartay courage-ki aad ku sii wada leedahay arintan ha ku siiya duco baan kula garab taaganahay waxaan rabaa inaan maadaama aan chance u helay oo ka mid ahay dadka qabanqaabiyaasha inaan u mahad celiyo raggii micnaha arintan habeen iyo maalin u soo dadaalay Ibrahim Ali Ethiopia oo ka mid yahay ayna hadda meel u aaday waxaan rabaa inaan u mahad celiyo maxay ahayd Warfa Hamza Warfa iyo maxay Saeed Yusuf Haji oo iyo rag kale oo arintan habeen iyo maalin aan ka saxanin in ay maanta caawsan noogu hergasho waa u mahad celinaynaa chance ka sanan ka faa'iideystaan rabaa kulay muxashimo laguma faraayo waxyaalaha loo baahan yahay dadka iga horeeyo iga aqli badnaa sheegay laakiin hal arin oo aad noo dhibtaa jirta maalmahan waa midda habeen madow dadka lagala baxay guryaha meel ay aadaan la aqoon arin hadda ku soo zaayiday muslimiinta iyo Soomaalida joogta Kenya ay noqotay walaalo waxaan ka codsanaynaa in Ilaahay ha ku garab gala arintaas oo yani chance walba hesha dilka in nagala joojiyo sababtoo ah maalin walba hooyo ama aabba ooyo oo gabadhiisi ama wiilkiisi meel xaraa lagu qabsaday meel uu jiro lama yaqaan markii dambe meydkiisa banaanka lagu soo tooray Mandera ka dhacda maalin walba Gaarisa ka dhacda anigoo hadda waxba yani aan siyaasadeynaynin laakiin habeen iyo maalin uu istaag naga qabo dhibkaan nahay si uu noogu istaagi lahaa please maxay ahayd annaga kullay waxaan u aragnaa maanta aadna soo booqatay sharafaan u aragnaa waxaan u aragnaa qof micnaha intaad New York imaadad ka laaban kartay oo madaxweynaha xoogaa iskala baashaashid laakiin waxaad tiri dadkaygan soo arkaya oo la soo casheynaa xali waxaad nagu tiri warani baastaan soo cunaad ku tiri ninkii muxuu ahaa Isaaq ninkii muxuu ahaa IBC warani dadkaygan baasta la soo cunaad iska nasaa ku tiri arinta loo baahan waxa waa ku faraxsanahay baasta meehin ogaali aan ku karnayna soo dhawow maartay khayr Allah ku siiya adinkoo dhanna waad mahadsantihiin inaad howlkan soo buuxisaan oo walaalkeen aad sharaftaan caawo khayr Allah in ka siiya na wasalamia wa Kenya wote wenye wako hapa leo I'm sorry the kind of stuff that I wanted to convey was only able to be done in Somali seriously it was coming from my heart I wanted to say it in Somali which is my first language but then Wakenya wote na wakaribisha asanteni kuwa hapa leo tunakaribisha mzee na asante
Assalamu alaikum sijui nitaongea Kiswahili Kisomali Oromo Kiingereza kwa sababu nimeona mwingine hapa amekuja kutoka Oromo Ethiopia I really don't know lakini nitajaribu kuongea Kiswahili wacha Somali ikae kidogo wacha niongee Kiswahili mimi ningependa kukaribisha mheshimiwa hatujuani sana lakini kila asubuhi nikiingia huko kwa magazeti huwa nasoma saa zingine naenda kwa parliament na unaona huyu simba kabisa anafuruga watu. And you really admire him. Of course, in politics, you can't be great without being controversial. You can never be, look at all the great leaders. You can't be straight. Wewe hutakuwa mtu mzuri kwa maisha na uambiwe ni politician. Kwa hivyo saa zingine naona nastuka kabisa, anatakiwa huko na huko. Saa ingine nasema huyu mzee ameteresa kidogo ama namna gani, lakini kitu moja ni ukweli ni kwamba yeye ni simba wani gesia. Gesi ni madhan walisku rai. I don't know what you call gesi in Swahili. Ni dume. Mheshimiwa, watu unawaona hapa wametoka palimbali, wametoka huko Brooklyn Park. Hapa kuna watu wengi kutoka Kisii, kutoka Rift Valley, kutoka North Eastern, hata Tarbaje constituency iko hapa ambaye ni mimi, Mandera, kila pali. Wasomali hapa wametoka kila upande, wametoka Johar, wametoka Puntland, Somaliland, kila pali. Hata Hiran wako hapa, Mahakalon ilobi, Jubaland wako hapa, yeah. Benadir, everywhere, they're everywhere.
Hamjambo. Habari gani? Nyinyi wa Kenya ama ni wa kabila? Thank you very much for this opportunity. First of all, I would like to karibisha Mheshimiwa Duale. Duale, this is actually a fraction of Kenyans that you're seeing here, meaning that hapa ni nyumbani. So karibu nyumbani, we would like to welcome you. This is a very warm place. But also, most importantly, we would like to also thank the state of Minnesota for being a welcoming place for us to actually come here. So thank you. My full names are Jeffrey Gichana, and as you've heard, I'm the current president of Mwanyagitinge. Mwanyagitinge is the largest Kenyan community in Minnesota. Basically, we are a Kenyan group that is incorporated. We, however, have a lot of Kisii members. That's why people assume that it's a Kisii group, but it's not. But we are all Kenyans. Mheshimiwa, also, I would also like to thank you, actually thank your government for taking that big step of actually something that we've been pushing for a long time, which is to, as our community grows here in the US, especially in Minnesota, we are becoming many, and also our needs are becoming many, which means that as a community, we have been looking and wanting to have the services that are accorded to Kenyans back home to also be brought here to Minnesota. And I'm happy to say that your government is delivering on that. And they actually have promised us that they are going to be giving us a consulate, meaning that we will have the government here in Minnesota, which is a good thing. Also, we would like to thank you for taking that big step forward to actually bring the new Kenyan IDs to the diaspora. And I would like to say that we had Madaraka Day here in June 7th, and our ambassador from DC, Ambassador Gidai, happened to be here as well. And on that day also, we had Kenyans register to actually get IDs, which is I think a big thing that you guys are doing for our community. Thank you very much. I won't speak much, but I want to make one point that I think is great for Kenyans in the diaspora, and I think in Minnesota. As you can see, our community is growing very much. However, the one thing that I think that is personally stressing me, and personally I would like to see that change, is I think, for example, right now, we as Kenyans in Minnesota tend to be very, very divided. For example, we don't have one unifying Kenyan group that actually brings Kenyans together, which is something I think we need to work on. I myself, as a community leader, together with other leaders from other community groups, we came together this year and we have been trying to find a way in terms of how we can get our common vision as Kenyans in Minnesota to see how we can, for once, create a Kenyan group that incorporates all Kenyans. And I'm happy to say that this year, we'll be having a Jamhuri Day celebration here in Minnesota. And on that day, we welcome every Kenyan to come, but also on that day, we are going to unveil a new Kenyan community group that actually incorporates all Kenyan community groups. So kama wewe ni Mkenya, na unajivunia kuwa Mkenya, please, you need to actually make that count in terms of bringing our community forward. So, nawaalika nyote mkuu huko on December 12th to actually witness the inauguration of a new Kenyan group that actually will bring Kenyans together. And also, the other thing that I think I want to bring forward is also we are working with other groups and also with other fellow Kenyans who are interested to actually see that for the first time also, maybe in a year or two, that maybe as Kenyans in Minnesota, we need to have our own community center, such that when Mheshimiwa comes to Minnesota, we don't have to come here. You know, he has to come to where we are, where we have our own place where we call home. You know, so and I think we are going to actually make that happen, but also we need the community to support us. So I'm looking forward to actually engaging you more in terms of actually making that a reality.
waxaan jecelahay inaan ku soo koobo xilligayga laba fariin oo kooban mid ku aadisan qurbo joogta iyo mid ku aadisan aadan bare ducaale hogaamiyaha xisbiga Jubilee aqlabiyadda maanta haysta fariintan dhila waxa weeye Minnesota in badan baa caaw laga hadlayay laakiin qodobadii ugu muhiimsanaa Minnesota laga hadlay waxa weeye Minnesota waxay ahaan jirtay gobolladii isolationist ahaan jiray Minnesota used to be a very isolationist state and in fact markii United Nations kala sameeyay Mareykanka 2 sano baa diiday in maaragtay UN-ta lagu biiro adduunweynaha iyo Mareykanku inuu isku furmo labadii sano mid kamid ah gobolka Minnesota ka yimid maanta state-ka Minnesota waxaa ku yaala kambaniyada ugu waaweyn ee Fortune 500 18 kamid ah waa halkan weeye the largest Liberian community outside of Liberia waa Minnesota degan yihiin largest Somali community Mareykankana waxay degan yihiin Minnesota international adoption-ka maaragtay dadka la soo koriyo ee maaragtay la soo carbisaleekeeno meelaha kale Minnesota waa kow international students-ka Minnesota waa isteediyada ugu badan bay kow ka tahay haddaba su-aasha aan qurbo joogta weydiinaya waxay tahay ma ka dhigi karnaa Minnesota sida state-ka Israa'iil uu New York ka dhigtay saldhigga ee New York u leedahay waddanka Israa'iil ma laga yaabaa geeska Afrika inay Minnesota u noqoto jawaabteeda idinku xiran tahay xildhibaanka waxaan nasiib u yeeshay sanadkii hore inaan maaragtay xafiiskiisa ugu tago xaflad sharaf leh oo aad iyo aad u qiimo badan uu igu qabto baarlamaanka xilli wanaagsan aan la qaato waxaan xasuustaa xilligii aan tagay waxay bishii May iyo June sanadkii hore xilligii dadka qaxootiga ee Soomaaliyeed aad maaragtay culays ku saarnaa waxaan ku yiri aadanow fariinta kaliya ku dhahay waxa weeye waana ku faraxsanahay inuu maaragtay qaybtan ku soo hagaagay aadan marka xafiiskiisa ugu tagay waxaan aad iyo aad ugu mahadceliyay doorka Kenya ee ka qaadanaysa nabadeynta geeska Afrika Soomaaliya arinta Suudaan يعني meelo badan oo runtii ilaa 6-7 dhibaato geeska Afrika taagan bay maanta hormuud ka tahay Kenya xildhibaankuna maaragtay iyo gudoomiyaha aqlabiyadda Jubilee uu qayb libax ka yahay waan aad iyo aad baan ugu mahadcelinaynaa wanaag badan bay noo qabteen laantood maanan jirneen dib u soo dhiska waddanka Soomaaliya iyo nabadeynta waxay u tahay Kenya laf dhabar ma aha inay Soomaaliya kaliya axsaan u sameynayso markaynu inaku isdilnay isbaabiinay dhibkeenay wadamadii dariskeenna u keennay waynu soo dhaafinay adduunweynihii baynu soo gaarsiinay waa lagama maarmaan in regional integration sidii wadamada geeska Afrika gaar ahaan Horn of Africa ee dhaqanka iyo diinta wadaaga waa inay maaragtay ay isku furmaan wanaag sameystaan iscaawiyaan laakiin waxaan aadan ku yiri waa inayna noqon arintii anoo soo koobaya gabayada waa la iga fiican yahay daqiiqadiina waa igu soo dhacday gabaygii doodaan waa inaan xaaladdu nagu noqonin baan ku yiri oo ah ka tag rooni ku turi maayo ka tagi maayo arinta niman yahowyana nagu noqonin baan ku yiri waa inaan wada shaqeynaa waa inay mutual partnership ay ahaataa
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته بسم الله بنا مكوكيميا karibisheni mzee mheshimiwa Adan Duale karibisheni fadlan karibu Minnesota walaalayaal aad iyo aad ay sharaf inoo tahay maanta inaan ku soo dhaweyno walaalkeen aan maaragtay Mheshimiwa Adan Duale magaalada Minnesota waxaan oranayaa waa sharaf bay inoo tahay waa ku faraxsannahay hooshuu ku jiro Afrika geeska Afrika ma ahan Kenya kali geeska Afrika oo dhan buu u taagan yahay siduu u soo saari lahaa ummadda Soomaaliyeed ummadda muslimiinta ku nool aad iyo aad buu ku mahadsan yahay Adan Duale maalin horan baa jaraa'id ka akhrinayay oo mid oranayo yaa ruqsad siiyay inuu Adan Duale Soomaalidu u hadlo bal waxaan oranayaa adiga ma yaa ku siiyay ruqsada inaad ku qortid jaraa'idka yaa siiyay anagaa siinay Soomaali baa siisay ma ogoshin inuu hadlo ma diyaar bootiin inaad taageertaan ha ka seexanina walaalkeen waa soo dhaweynaynaa horumar baan ka gaarnay gobolkan sida shakhsiyan aad ii jeedaan arrimo baa soo socda waa isdiyaarinaynaa yaan la kala qaybinin midnimadeenna waa inaan muujinaa meel kastaan joogno diyaar muutiin midnimadeenna inaan guul ku gaarno diyaar muutiin khilaafka iyo buuq inaan iska joojino diyaar muutiin meel kasta guul baan ii rajaynayaa soo dhaweeya Mheshimiwa soo dhawow
Thank you so much. Nashukuru sana. I think people spoke Somali, English, Swahili. I think we are remaining with French. Should I go for French? Nashukuru sana for participating in this event. And it's in the same hall we received the Kenyan ambassador to US, Ambassador Robinson Githai. And I remember in that event, it was an event to bring together Kenyans and Somalis, whereby the ambassador was here articulating what the Kenyan government is doing to bring together communities of both Kenya and Somalia. And mine is to give you a brief history of Honorable Adan Duale, and then also to welcome him. But since most of the speakers who were before me, there were many from medical profession, and me as coming from business background, I think I'll hit some two or few points about business issues with some few politics in and there. First, I was honored to be together with the same high school, Mr. Adan Duale. He was 2 years. He was my senior, he was 2 years ahead of me. I remember I was telling him right now, about 21 years ago, me and late Yaqub Osman, who were together in the campus, and also up to Nairobi University, and also Honorable Abdikadir, former member of parliament from Mandera Central. We were making a joke 21 years ago. We were arguing, and we told him he will become a politician. That was 21 years ago. I think my prediction and our prediction became true. And Honorable Adan finished a bachelor degree from Moi University and a master's university from the same university. Later went to teach in a local secondary school. And thereafter he joined business. That's where he had a lot of passion for. And I remember he was a businessman in Mombasa. I visited him one time. And he formed an association that was fighting for articulating the rights of livestock people. And Northeastern being an area that economically depends on livestock, he formed an association whereby they were trying to bring to the limelight the issues affecting livestock keepers in Kenya, mainly in Northeastern province. In 2007, he joined politics, became a member of parliament. He took over a seat that was held for almost 30 years by Honorable Hussein Maalim. He took over from there. 2007, he joined and became an assistant minister in the coalition government of 2007. You very well remember what happened in 2007. And it was one of the most memorable years. Kenya was about to collapse, but lucky enough, God save the country. And there was a coalition government, and in that government is where he became an assistant minister. And one of the main achievements I would like to mention here is the way he participated in bringing up the constitution that was passed in 2010, the current constitution that we have. And I remember someone was one time arguing that Kenya has the best constitution in the world. What they only need is to implement it. And I hope, being part of the team that passed that constitution, and today that he's a majority leader, he's doing his best to make sure that constitution is implemented. Having said that, baada ya kusema hivyo, I would like to mention two things. One is that the political temperature in Nairobi is a bit rising. And being the majority leader, I will ask him, we are monitoring what's happening there, and we will ask him to come and bring closer the political aisle that's growing. The rift is about growing, it's slightly growing. We can see there's a rift going on there, whereby the two political sides, the opposition and the ruling party, are unable to come together and pass issues together for the benefit of the country. Right now we have a teacher strike. Though Northeastern had the strike was way ahead. Most of the teachers deserted schools in Northeastern, and we very well know what's happening. So we'll ask him to cool down that political temperature in Nairobi, and then finally I will ask him in his hometown in Garissa. There's also a big political divide. Devolution being new to us, it has brought a lot of rivalry. It's not only in Garissa, it's happening in Wajir, Mandera, Murang'a, Makueni. Recently, Makueni was even in trouble where a commission was formed to decide whether to dissolve it or not. So I'm asking him also to do his best and bring the people together in Garissa as a leader of majority leader in the parliament, to bring them together. They all live together. They cannot leave each other. They have to share the resources. They have to live in good neighborly way. And I'll ask him also to extend his peace activities to Garissa and bring all communities together and share their resources, as well as Wajir and Mandera. With that, I'll kindly ask you to welcome me, Mr. Honorable Adan Duale, and we will hear from him the achievements that we have achieved.
Bismillah. So I think tonight is a great day. Madam Minority Leader, professionals who are here, these great people who have come to listen to me. I didn't know when I left New York and I left my colleagues. You know, they were asking me on text messages this morning, have you come back to Nairobi? I didn't know I will have this kind of a function. So I want to thank you most sincerely for staying this long, for listening to good, great people, and ultimately giving me an opportunity to say one or two things. Hussein did not finish. I joined politics in 2007. It was a very, very hotly contested elections in Kenya. And Hussein, don't get worried. In Kenya, we campaign from the day we win elections to the next election. It's the only country in the world where you win an election and the next day you start campaign for 5 years. So what you see in Nairobi, in Kenya, it's not extraordinary. It's something which we are used to. It's a country which has free press, a lot of political space, many political parties, very vibrant, educated society. So the temperatures will go down because I'm also here. In fact, it will go down because I am the only one who speaks for our coalition. But I want to thank you, people, because you are great people. And when President Obama came to Kenya a couple of months ago, and as a man we cherish so much in our country, I'm sure the kind of reception he got, I don't know whether you guys in the US give him that kind of reception. You know, when he went to Ethiopia, the Ethiopian foreign minister was telling me, we tried to do like Kenyans, but we could not reach. So at one stage he said, we just left and say, you people just stay in the streets. When he came, he spoke about the Somali community in Minnesota in the bilateral meetings. And he said Kenya and US shares both communities, the Muslim minority, Somali minority in both countries. And he says in my country they live in a place called Minnesota, very cold place. He said he doesn't know how they went there. That's what he said in the bilateral. And he said they're working with us very well in the war against extremism. And you know, I talked to the Kenyan, the US ambassador in Kenya, a very good friend of mine. He came with about 20 congressmen. But I realized why he spoke for you is because your two senators did a serious lobbying with their colleagues. They have written a letter to him. So President Obama was speaking because the leadership that you elect in this state did their obligation to make sure that when President Obama goes to Kenya, he will speak for the Somali community that also live there. So we want to thank you. Some of us felt, yes, because President Obama is not an ordinary president. When he speaks, many countries and many presidents listen to him. So Lillian, minority leader, Mohammed of the Haji of the Banadir community, Amina, and the great Farhia. Yes, Farhia, I think you should join politics. You know, when you are talking, I was saying you must be vying for a seat around here. So I think you must join because you are very passionate. So Hussein didn't finish. When we formed a coalition government, some of us in that coalition realized, no, we were in the wrong place. So myself, the deputy president of the Republic of Kenya, we are called in Kenya the hustlers. You know, we hustled. We started a movement in 2009. We formed a party. We one night sat in a hall like this and we said, let's choose a name. We came with the United Republican Party. There were reasons why we called ourselves Republican. There are many issues our researchers did. They went into research what is so unique with the Republican parties in the US, and we called ourselves. But today we are great, you know, our party formed a coalition with the president. Today we have 78 members of parliament in Kenya, our party. We have mainly from the pastoralist group. We have 10 governors, we have 10 senators, but now we want to form one united. So I tell my friends, you know, in downtown Nairobi when we are having coffee, lawyers, Somali lawyers and business community, when we talk and they say, today you are very vocal in parliament, I tell them, you know, that's how I pay my bills. I tell them, you guys go to your law firm, you go to your business. How I pay my electricity bill, I pay my school fees for my kids, is through the talking I do on the floor of the house. So I think it's good. I'll mainly deal with issues that you have raised. But I want to take you the memory lane. The Somali community has a history in East Africa and in Kenya. 50 years ago, and I tell people, no, don't make noise. First look at where we came from. You know, in life you must trace your history. So 50 years ago, what were we? How were we described? You know? And then come down and ask yourself, what is the position of the Somali community in Kenya in 2015? We produced the first female foreign minister in the history of Kenya. You know? We produced the first leader of majority under the new constitution. It's never. At least it will go into history that the first leader of majority in Kenyan history was a Somali. We produced one of the best ministers for industrialization, a person who has worked in the private sector. We produced the chair of the Independent Electoral Commission. You know, a very powerful office. You go to the private sector, you'll find them in key positions. You know, when you find the MD of Barclays Bank, CCOs of big banks. So where we are when you see the development the community reached in politics, in last parliament, we were basically 11 members of parliament, plus 2 nominated, 13. Now I have the pleasure of being the chairman of, you know, a very powerful 32 members of parliament and senators from the Somali community. You know, from 13 to 32. You know, we have 3 regions, we have 3 governors. So this is, sometimes I say, Alhamdulillah. You know, don't complain too much. The small issues we will fix. So that's why sometimes you don't see me talking. When you look at the energy sector, the biggest companies in Kenya in petroleum, owned by the Somali community. You know, you must have seen me last week when we were giving Haas Petroleum. You know, not only in Kenya, it's a regional player. They're in Uganda, Tanzania, South Sudan. What was the key to that? The Somali community in Kenya decided one morning, I don't know who that person was, let us do a serious integration with the other Kenyans. That was the day we thought, let us be part and parcel of the Kenyan society. They appreciated us, more diversified community. So I think let us look at the gains. I always tell my colleagues, members of parliament from the Somali community, yes, let us see where we came from and let us see where we are going. But one day, let us see whether we can produce the next president of the Republic of Kenya. You know? And this is what I tell also the Somalis in Ethiopia. You know, what I tell the Somalis in Kampala. You know, integrate with the other East African communities. Of course, in Kenya, we have a very tolerant, resilient Kenyan communities. You know? I have no words for the Kenyan communities. When 147 children were killed in my constituency by terrorists, Kenyans stood with us. You know, in churches, in parliament, you see Christian members of parliament standing and saying, no, this is not the Muslim community. This is few evil-minded people. And you know, I walk to my colleagues, the Somali community, the Muslim members of parliament, and I tell them, don't speak. Let our colleagues speak for us. It becomes more better. So we have a very resilient, tolerant, diversified community in Kenya. And that's what I see here tonight. Of course, we have we run a government called the Jubilee Coalition. You know, when I left my coalition in last government, I was adopted by the former president. You know, he was called Kibaki, but very old man. So when I go there, I couldn't even speak. But you know now, for the first time in the history of Kenya, you know, we have a young president. We take a mandazi with him. We talk to him. We tell him, Mr. President, this can't go on. The deputy the same. You know, very young people. They tell him people are saying this. And we have a manifesto, serious manifesto, which I'll tell you what is there for the Somali community, what is there for the Kenyan community. But I'm sure Lillian is the first government in the history of Kenya that's appointed 6 women in the most powerful ministries in any government. The Minister for Foreign Affairs is a lady. The Minister for Defense is a lady in our country. The Minister for Devolution and Planning is a lady. The Minister for Environment is a lady. The Minister for Tourism and Trade is a lady. Which country has done that? Yeah, even the US. Even in the US, I think you have not produced. I follow the US. I follow the US politics. I've always have an issue with my friend Donald Trump. And I've seen his communication guys really follow my tweets. Because when I get an opportunity, I tweet about what is going on. So we have done very well. We have 28% of our parliament women. But the law says we must make sure 33% of the parliament must be of either gender. And right now there's a huge debate on the gender rule. And I have published a bill in my name. So the women of Kenya are very, very popular with me. They call it the Duale bill, you know. But of course, those who have lived in Kenya, they will know we still need to do a lot to make sure the male folk, you know, accept that the world has changed. Women must have their place. And I remember when President Obama came, there's a statement he made that I use every day on women. And he said, you can't have the women as part of your team, but you don't allow them to play in the field. You know, that's what Obama said. It's true. If they are part of the team, they must be half of the 11 players. I don't know. You know, you guys, you have a different football. I don't know whether you have football. They are 11, and I'm a very candid follower of the English Premier. I will not tell you my team, but we are doing very well now. Last season we never did very well. We recognize in our manifesto our diaspora for 2 reasons. The Kenyan diaspora, and I'm sure, you know, when you talk of the Kenyan diaspora, even our colleagues from Somalia are part of that diaspora. Because everything they do, there's a lot of resemblance in Kenya in terms of remittance. There's a huge billions of dollars remitted to our country. So our finance department, our central bank are aware of the huge diaspora remittance plays in our economy. Now we have introduced, we want to open consulates in Minnesota and many other places. And that's why we even took the Department of International Trade to Foreign Affairs, so that Foreign Affairs spearhead a lot of that. So we'll open consulates, we will engage you. I'm sure you're also aware we are looking for a law in which the diaspora can also vote in the general election. They might not vote in 2017, But ultimately, the Constitution provides that. And you know, the debate was that how do we define how do we define our diaspora? You know, because Kenya is very politically charged. So I think the moment you realize who are the majority, Jubilee has more numbers in the diaspora. Then the court guy said, no, let's not, let them not allow them to vote. The moment Jubilee realized there are many court supporters in Minnesota, we will say, no, IBC chairman, just delay this thing. So it's a very hot political issue. Of course, I have to say, we have no choice. In terms of women, it's our constitution that has given a lot of gains to the women of Kenya. And where you give women decision-making in boardrooms, in politics, then the community prosper. There is the issue of extrajudicial killing. Of course, we have a serious security problem in Somalia. Serious security problem in Somalia that now is affecting the whole region. It's affecting Ethiopia, Kenya, Uganda. And we have contributed forces to make Somalia stable. But the killings that you have raised is a serious issue in our government. The president has spoken about it 1 month ago. The Minister for Interior has set up a committee to deal with, to find out what are the root causes. Who are these people who are picking people and they are not? So I'm sure as from last month, you'll not hear of everything. And this is not only unique to Northeastern. It's happening in some cases in the coast region. It's happening in other parts of the country, even during the Mungiki time of last government. But whichever time it was, is not acceptable. We have a very robust office of the prosecutor in Kenya. We have an independent office of the Inspector General of Police. We have agreed they must relook at that. Because it can be said well in Somali, I'll say it later. So that, I think, extrajudicial killings is a serious issue we are dealing with. So what is good in Kenya? I think many people have realized, when was one time there was a closure of money remittance institutions called the Hawales. And we realized in 1 month, as investigation was being done, it had a serious effect on our economy, on our exchange rate, on everybody, including Kenyans who are of not Somali, who are of non-Somali origin. The likes of Dahabshil and the many others, which we have now dealt with. And how do we dealt with? We have said, you guys, you're serious people, you are like banks. We've given them a checklist from the central bank. Just fill this form, follow it. And I'm sure all of them now are very, very happy. Very happy, so that, we have an institution called, which I think even in the US it is there, it's called Financial Tracking System, globally. Who is sending money from where? So what do? We are the biggest economy in East Africa and Horn of Africa. The biggest economy. The economy of Rwanda, Burundi, Uganda, Tanzania, combined together is not even 50% of the economy of Kenya. And when we formed the government, we decided to deal with China. So we went east because we had serious issues with the West and most of the Americans. The Americans said, if you elect these guys, there are consequences to be paid. So the people of Kenya said, no, let us see the consequences. So when we formed government, we decided to face east. So all our prayers were going to the east. We went to India, we went to China, we went to Australia, we went to Middle East, and we did good business with them. Until, now, because the world now is about business. There's something called economic diplomacy. So I think the European and the American companies realized, yes, these guys have gone. They are buying Toyota cars. Then we stopped buying the Land Rover, the British Land Rover, our former colonial power. But now all of them came. And one of the days I remember, I sat with the president and the senior vice president of General Electric came to State House and he said, Mr. President, can you give us a slice of the business that the Chinese are having? And we told him, now we are talking. And today you have so many Americans and European companies. Because we must protect also the integrity and the sovereignty of Kenyans. We are a free country and we want to work for the people of Kenya. As one speaker said, our government did a free maternal health care. Our rural women go to maternity, we spend about 5 billion in our budget every year. And that has increased. Mothers going to deliver in healthcare centers rose from 42% before we took over as government to 68% today. And it is only very slow again in marginalized areas, northern Kenya, the coast region, which we are trying to find out. We are building for the first time Independence Kenya, 10,000 kilometers of tarmac road. And all this mainly is coming from our own revenue. Since independence, we did 14,000 kilometers. But under this government, we want to do 10,000. Why? Because when you do infrastructure, when you do, you improve the efficiency of the port of Mombasa, you improve you do more roads, more railways, then that increases the growth rate, the economic growth rate of any country. We are building for the first time through the support of the Chinese government, the first high-speed, both for cargo and passenger, railway called SGR from Mombasa to Kampala. And many people are saying, will you do it? But we have agreed we are going to finish that railway before 2017, before we go to elections. So we want to start our campaign on that railway. So we tell the opposition, And we are doing the roads everywhere. In northern Kenya, we are now connecting Garissa to Wajir on a highway. This has never happened. The best government that did a tarmac road in independent Kenya was the Kibaki government. And they did 29 kilometers in my constituency. But this government is doing close to about 200. We want to take it to, we have connected Garissa to the national grid. Power is going to Garissa. We are now doing 50-kilometer solar energy, 50 megawatts solar energy in Garissa. When we were in Kampala, I'm sure you heard about the sugar deals. There was no sugar. We went there for the crude oil pipeline. And I was there because we were convincing President Museveni, please, let the crude oil pass through northern Kenya. Today we are happy. It is starting from Lamu, those who know Garissa County, Masalani, Ijara, Tabura, Garissa Town, Modogashe, Isiolo, Turkana, all the way to a place called Hoima in Uganda. And we thanked President Museveni, he agreed. Efficiency. Today, the port of Mombasa, the container that leaves port of Mombasa to Kampala takes 3 days. Before our government, it used to take 18 days. So efficient. So there's a lot of investment you can do back. The estate market is huge. Most international business have established offices in Nairobi. So I think you people need to go to Nairobi and do business. I'm sure you are saving. The savings, your savings will earn good interest if you invest in Kenya. I'm saying this because it's a policy of our government that when we are given a mic, we must spend 20 minutes saying the good thing of the Jubilee government. That's so, in case somebody is saying Honorable Duale went and he didn't talk about the Jubilee government. So we're doing good things. Our neighbors, we have a serious program for Somalia. You know, how many of you guys went to Hargeisa? I've never been there. The first time I went to Somalia was about a week ago. I went to Kismayu. It was my first day. My first day in my life to go to Somalia. And you know, I realized sometimes to see is better than to hear. When I went to Kismayu, I had an opportunity to see, we were with the President Hassan Sheikh, Prime Minister Sharmarke, Ethiopian leaders. We slept there. The best fish in the world is in Kismayu. We took the best lobster. The best lobster is in Kismayu. So for those of you who are from Kismayu, you need to go and invest. Clean sea, blue sea. The nice beaches. I'm sure the same is if you go to Bosaso, if you go to Hargeisa, if you go to all the other parts of Somalia. So we want, one as a Kenyan, one as a Somali, we need to have a more stable Somalia. And you people must help us. And we must deal with extremism. The biggest victims of extremism, those who, as my brother said, who distort Islam. The biggest victims are our own people again here. You know, I'm sure Lillian will tell you, in the most remote village in Kenya, you'll find Somalis either running a butchery or a petrol station or a wholesale. Am I right? How do you live in that village when somebody is saying, I'm a Somali Muslim, he comes and kills only Christians? Ultimately, it will create a xenophobia attacks. So I think the Somali community, everywhere we must stand. The Muslim community, everywhere there, they must stand. They must stand for true Islam. And we must say enough is enough. Enough is enough, we must say it. But we are also telling those who want to discriminate the Muslim community, law-abiding Muslim, communities anywhere in the world, that you cannot use, those stereotypes, that stigma from those evil-minded people to discriminate our children, our women, and our men and elders and everybody. That one we have said it, no. And I'm sure, when such things happen in the US, the land of liberty, land of freedom, then you guys should not even complain about Kenya and Africa. Am I right? Yeah. If it's happening in the US, that young, innovative, brilliant kid, carrying a clock to go and share with his teachers. He's handcuffed just because his name was Ahmed, just because he looked like a Muslim. I mean, those are the kind of... and I was following your debate, people are debating Obama is not a Muslim, Obama is not an American. I asked myself, what is wrong if Obama was a Muslim? I mean, what is wrong? And nobody knows coming out in the US. I've been watching the debates the last 3 days. In the unlikely scenario or event that Obama even is a Muslim, so what? What is wrong with that? I even saw Hillary Clinton and the Democrats saying, no, he's a Christian. No, he's an American. Why go to that denial, eh? You say, yeah. I mean, Muslims, Christians pray to one God. They go to church, others go to synagogue, others go to mosques. So I think the world must change. There must be a lot of accommodation. I'm using the free speech provided in your constitution. Yeah. I'm sure nobody will ask me why is, as President Obama said, why is Duale interfering in the internal affairs of the U.S.? You know, when Obama came and he was very unkind to our opposition. And we were celebrating everywhere in Kenya. We were saying Obama did 50% of the Jubilee politics. You know, he said, which was very candid. He said, you know, you guys were in government. That time you were saying, no, America should not interfere in our internal affairs. Now that you are in the opposition, you're saying, please, do some bashing for Jubilee. He was very honest. You have a very honest leader. So I think Hussein talked about, there are no crises in Kenya. You know, we have a problem with our teachers, but it's on principle. You know, in 2012, we harmonized the package salary for all the public servants in Kenya, in terms of house allowance, commuter allowance, basic salary. Now the teachers are asking for 60% increase. The moment we give them 60%, then all other public servants will go on strike. That's number one. Number two, we have a serious problem in our country in terms of what is called wage bill. Our wage bill currently stands at 58%. So if we give the teachers, our wage bill will go to about 60%. And I think internationally, globally standard is about 42%. So if all the revenue, we collect about 1 trillion Kenya shillings. If the revenue we collect goes to salary, then how do we build roads? How do we improve the health sector? How do we improve agriculture? How much money can we give to? So that's our problem with the teachers. We have said we have no money, but the media said that we have said won't pay, can't pay. This can't pay, won't pay something. Secondly, Hussein asked about devolved system of government. We have a devolution in our country, the best we have ever had in our country. For the first time, you know, we have 47 counties, their own governance structure, their own resources. Of course, it's a new thing. So systems are not there. I am sure the next governors and the governors to follow will be better. But of course, now we have serious challenge in all the counties. We will work with them. We will make sure they deliver to our people. Because devolution is so new. Some of us supported the constitution in 2010 because of devolution. Garissa now has 7 billion. Wajir gets 8 billion. Mandera gets 9 billion. We never used to see those money. We used to beg to ministers, give us money. But now the money has been given to our people, to our governors, to our county assemblies. We expect them to rise to the occasion and make sure our people get service. Where we can help, we will help them. That's it. I think I'll speak in the Somali language for 2 minutes. Because I might make serious issues that will, and you don't need to translate. Ummadda Soomaalida annaga waan ku faannaa danahay siyaasiyiinta waddanka Kenya waa zayd ku faannaa meel aad joogtiinba waa ku faannaa waxa weeye markaan wadamada dibadda aadno soo dhaweyn dadka kale oo Kenyaanka ay helin ayaana ka helnaa waa ku faannaa Soomaalida dhaqaalaha leh waddanka Kenya ee meel joogaanbo waxay naga caawiyaan sidii ummadda loogu gargaari lahaa madaaristan ku dhisnaa lacagtooda masaajidiyaan ku dhisnaa qarana sameynaa dugsiyadan yaan dib ugu soo habeynaa marka ummadda Soomaalida waa ummad waxa weeye lagu faano waa ummad fiican waa ummad Ilaahay karaameeyay haddana waxaa lagu imtixaamay qabiilka ummadda soomaalida dhibka kale ee qabto everything else waa tick waa 99% qabiilku waay qabiilkana laba qolaa wada qabyaaladda ama qabiilka oo reerka waxa uu horseed ah two groups of people caawana waan sheegaya with your permission because you know when you speak here it becomes viral in the Somali community. You know, the Somali community is an oral community. They don't even, in Kenya, the biggest telecommunication company receives over 40% of their revenue from the Somali community in Slee and northern Kenya. Because instead of writing a text or an email, he wants a voice. So Somalida imtixaanka qabiilka number 1 waxaa wadaa dadka joogo qurbaha diaspora run miyaa mise been first waa aad joogtiin markaad shaqada ka soo baxdiin koofiga aad cabtiin telefoon mid wuxuu u diri boosaaso midna wuxuu u diri gaarisa nogo mid isliib u diri. The second group na waxa weeyaan oo Kenya ku arkay waa the professional group. The more educated Somali you are, the more you believe in the clan hegemony. Very, very sad. Ninka tacliinta leh oo joogo first world ama urban center joogo ayaa qabyaaladda ku dheeraya markaad u fiiriso qofka tuulooyinka joogaan ama xoolaha la jiro. marka waxaan rabnaa imtixaankaas in la bixiyo. bulshada Soomaalida waa bulsho dadaal badan, bulsho waxa weeye diinta u dadaal badan, waa haslaas way dadaalaan way shaqaystaan. anina waxaan dhahay waxaan rabnaa la hadlo ummadda Soomaaliyeed oo idil soo message-na u gaaro. waan idin sheegay waddanka Kenya taariikhan leenahay mar baan la dhihi jiray shuftaa tihiin meelahaasan baadiyaan lagu reebi jiray hata Nairobi lama soo geli jirin odayaashu isaaqa Nairobi la keeneen. Very, very good people. The magaalooyinka waaweyn maarta Kenya, Nairobi, Nakuru, Eldoret, Kisumu. waxaa jira xaafado la yiraahdo Kambi Somali. You know Kambi Somali. So we must thank the Isaac community. You know? baadiye naga soo bixeen waxayna keenay Nairobi. Isli baan qabsanay, isli hadda waan ka guurnay waxaan tagnay South Sea waan dhulkii waan dhamaynay, South B aan tagnay, waxaan tagay Kileleshwa, Lavington, you know, everywhere. Mudaiga, Mombasa waxaa jirta xaafad la yiraahdo Mogadishu Ndogo. I used to live there. marka waxa waa ummad karaamaysan. ummadan waa in marka laga bixiyo qabiilka. xildhibaan 13 aan lahayn maanta waxaa leenahay 34. So community waa inaad horta alxamdulillah mar ilaahay waa lagu shukriyaa. alxamdulillah kamuriyaha shidaal ka shaqeeyaan waddanka Kenya 70% waxaa iskala Soomaalida badeecada. qisaan idin sheegay waxaa dhacday last year waxaa imaadeen niman Soomaali ah oo ka shaqeeyaan forex. They own forex bureaus in Nairobi downtown. waxay dhaheen meeshan waa ku jirnaa ayee maxaa tale ah waxaan dhahay associationka chairmanka aan noqono. Let us take the chairmanship. But the guys, you know, how many are you? xisaabaan samaynay waxaa ogaanay 48% membershipka waxaa leh forex bureaus in Nairobi anagu waay election la sameeyey we produce the chairman kan qaadanay way dadaalayeen companies ka sameeyaan waddanka Kenya construction-ka 70% Somali baa iska leh wada dadaal badan laakiin waxaa weeye ganacsigan iyo waxaa keenay waxaan ka imaanay meel madegaan qofka markuu rafaado desert ka imaadeen farmers ma nihin baby Banadiri is a small farmer or fisherman. I'm saying we don't do fishing. We are not agriculturalists. We only survive with a camel in the desert. So when we come to town, we become hustlers. We don't choose what business to do, from the smallest to the biggest. As long as that business is clean within the teaching of Islam. Marka ummadan waxa weeye marka waa ummadan marka growthkeeda uu kor u socdo inay tashato waay dad qurbada jooga inay tashatiin waay oo direction aad bixsin qof joogo Mareykanka iyo Brussels iyo Paris iyo Amsterdam iyo Copenhagen first world jooga ayaa qabyaalad wata marka qofkii jooga tuula. What is the difference between adiga qofkaas qabiilkana diinta waxay ka sheegtay waad ogtiin the whole concept waa la tacaarafu wax kale ma jiro so the biggest cancerka ugu weyn ee dowladda Soomaaliya ay la digilaadahay cancerka ugu weyn Soomaalida meel ay joogaan hunuuda dadka aqaanka yuhuudda waxay sameeyeen communities schoolay hadda Nairobi waxu qarane waraqa khaanka ku dayano isbitaal Soomaali ay leedahay aan dhisano hali isbitaalkaas ninkaas wada waa nin ogaadeen salka ogaadeen askala aan doona salkaas waxa iskale isaaq waa reer Hargeysa waxay ku wataan inay noqdaan independence. We have a very stable country, my independence lagu didi. We have a very stable way. Way dadaaleen wadankooda waa nabad. Marka qabiilka dib badan ayuu keenayaa. Wadanka Soomaaliya flight from Nairobi to Kismayo to Mogadishu to Hargeisa to Bosaso was 1 hour 20 minutes mainly. Or to Mombasa, or to Kigali, or to Kampala. The Somali never handled. Every Friday, Nika Joga, Kofa Joga Nairobi, he goes to Bosaso. Wadi Kismayo, Wadi Hamar. Lakin never had that. So, having Kismayo and Joga, I had the opportunity to talk to the regional presidents, Abdul Karim of Gulmuduk والله ما قاعد أتمنى قالمذوك Abduale Ali Gas of Puntland, Madobe of Jubaland, Sheikh Hassan, Southwest. And I was telling them, madaxnimada waxay qurxan tahay oo ay fiican tahay oo ay macaanti markii wadankaada uu nabadi hadda leader of majority way macaanti because Kenya was stable inga baarlamaanka istaago waxay kor u soo qaadi niyada caruurta Soomaaliyeed ee wadanka Kenya degan they become community waa inay helaan role model Somalia is a minority gabdhaha Soomaaliyeed markay arkaan Aamina one of the most foreign minister we have ever had in the history of Kenya gabdhaha Soomaaliyeed oo hadda soo korayaan oo iskoolada dhigtaan jaamacada dhigtaan they see hope marka dad qorbada jooga horta qaarkan qabiilka naga joojiya ajalkana Marcus Halakio. That was my message. Anaka wadan kada aan joogno waa wadan qabiil ku dhisan. dadkana waxaan u sheegay xildhibaaninta Soomaalida markaan chairman-koodan ahay markaan la hadlay waxaan ku dhahay war meeshan siyaasiga uu kala duwan yahay iyo shaqooyinka la qabto. siyaasiga qofka wuxuu u galaa inuu dadkii soo doorteen dantooda uu ka hadlo inuu ayahooda ka taliyo inay ilinta ay asintu madax yahay ay oynin conceptka siyaasiga wasa ana qad alhamdulillah waxaan qabnaa very vibrant dhalinyaro fara badan oo mutacalimiin ah Somali community-ga MPs-kooda waa kuwa most of them are highly educated so waxaan ku dhahay war siyaasiga ma aha tukaan furisalaadi waad sokor iibin siyaasiga ma aha ganacsi oo mala ka shaqeyni guriga baarlamaanka waxaa isku imaaday siyaasiyiin nin kastana wuxuu rabaa inuu dadkiisa u hadlo kibistiisana u horgoosto haddii dadkaada aad u hadlin kibistii meeshii lagu goostana aad fadhinin you have no business being in politics. That is the whole concept. I'm sure there are many people who want to join politics, maybe in this room. I'm saying, Madam Minority Leader, that politics is about transforming the lives of your people. Business number 2 in politics is to make sure you speak for those who elected you to that office and protect their interests as shrined in the constitution of that country. Politics is not about, there's a difference between a politician and, a clergyman, a sheikh. When you go to the mosque, your business is to take people to heaven. Am I right? In the mosque and in the church, you have one script to make sure your congregation either listen to the Quran and they listen to the Bible, and you create an environment that when they go to heaven, they're in the right place. But when you're a politician, you have no business about heaven. Your business is to make sure that the interests of the voters who took you to that office, whether you're a governor or a senator, or you guys have so many. Marka arrimaha Soomaalida eega telefoon diraysiin war u sheega siyaasiyiinta Soomaaliya iyo kuwa Kenya inay ummadda Soomaaliyeed u istaagaan ummadda Soomaaliyeed inay u hadlaan ummadda Soomaaliyeed inay ka reebaan waxa xun oo ay sameynayaan ummadda Soomaaliyeed inay ku baraarujiyaan inay arrimaha dadka raba inay khaldaan diinta inay khalad yihiin marka dadka qurbaa joogaan idin hadlaya investment weyn sameysta wadamada Kenya iyo Soomaaliya taga iyo Uganda oo wadamo nilaga jecel yahay oo ganacsi ka sameyn kartiin marmarka qabow ka carra marka I think I'm very sorry I have talked a lot but I think it was an opportunity. I came to the US this week at a meeting in New York, and now I'm going back to New York for the General Assembly. I'll join the president there. And I wish I wish he was in the US. I'm going to look for him on his Twitter. There's a professor called Professor Makau Mutua. He wrote an article about me last Sunday. So today I have replied him in the Standard. And I told him the Somali community is an egalitarian community. It's a business minded community. They're very entrepreneur. So they don't need a spokesperson, you know. He's a professor here at Buffalo School of Law. He used to be there. He's no longer there. He's no longer there. So I am looking for somebody to give me a picture of this meeting tonight. And I want to tweet him and tell him, you know, I have a bigger diaspora, Somali community. That professor, I want to challenge you, whether you can raise this number of people in any part of the US. And I want to challenge him to a contest. But I realized, you know, as I told you, I have no business. When he attacked the Somali community, I wrote my article on the long flight from Dubai to New York. And I pleaded with the editors of Daily Nation and Standard, Nairobi, please, I was about to kneel down. Please make sure you publish my article. So when I was sitting here, I went to the Standard online on Sunday, and at least I have seen my article, so you can read. It's a very long article about Somali community. So thank you very much. It was good having you good people here. I think I'll come back here. The last time I was here, I came in 2009, and I went to Abu Bakr Sadiq Mosque. And you know, when I prayed and I was about to leave, I found a small duxi at the far end. Then I said, this is a good place where I can find Anjara. So all Somali leaders will come here. Good people, I want to thank you, the speakers who spoke. Madam Minority Leader, I want to thank you and your colleagues in the House of Representatives, the government of Minnesota, the government, federal government of the US, President Obama, for taking good care of this huge constituency. Some of us, when we are in Kenya, we always say, yes, as much as the Kenyan communities took care of the Somalis in 1991-92 on their way to the US and to Europe and North America, I think the countries that have received them, like the US, and now they have become citizens of this country, also must be appreciated. So we will appreciate, we thank you. So the weather, but my brother, I want to assure you that some of us, we will do whatever it takes to stand, to defend the communities that we belong and to the country that we belong, Kenya. I always say in Kenya, I am proud to be a Kenyan. Number one, I'm proud to be a Muslim, and I'm proud to be from the Somali community. Thank you very much.
يسر يا شفافي صفي يا قارسة سوداوي